Hi everybody, Jonathan Scott here, the Big Cat People, Angie behind the camera. Sunday, beautiful afternoon in our garden, and I want to talk to you today about two images, and they are in our fine art gallery. So it's behind the scene look at what was going on, what were we thinking about when we were taking these pictures, what was our objective. And they are open edition prints, and one of them is called Gathering of the Giants, and it's a group, a massive group of bull elephants that came to drink at a waterhole when we were staying in Tarangire in Tanzania, Tarangire National Park, at a tented camp. And it was extraordinary to see these bull elephants just homing in on the opportunity to get some water. And they came en masse. You could see the dust rising in the distance as they moved towards this artificial water placement at the camp where they could drink. And then suddenly their trunks went up and they were standing under these beautiful trees with these lovely lyrical shaped branches. And the shapes of the elephants and their upraised trunks, outstretched, seemed to mirror the shape of the branches of the trees. So there was a beautiful harmony to the picture. And if, as I'm telling you, this story, if you didn't happen to know that story, what was going on, of course, it would mean whatever it did to you in terms of, well, were the elephants disturbed? Were they upset? Was there some kind of human disturbance? But it wasn't. What was happening was that they could hear with that infrasound, the sound that elephants use to communicate at levels, at frequencies that we can't even pick up. And they can pick up that sometimes just through their feet. The reverberations, the reverberations of that but low intensity sounds. And it was coming from other elephants as they gathered, probably all moved by the same biological imperative, the need to get water, as they moved towards the sound of their companions. And these bull elephants, they form up sometimes into big groups. It could be 10, 20 of them. There could be 2s, 3s, bachelor herds, because the bulls, once they're adolescents, move away from the family herds, from the females and calves, and they form their own associations. They learn the ropes. Who's the strongest? Who's stronger than me? Amongst the other bulls. Most of these bulls were a similar size. They were adults, they were big, and as I say, there was this incredible sense of frenzy and excitement, but in a good way, a positive way. Not disturbed by our presence, not disturbed by human beings, but just literally tapping into the sounds they could hear of approaching other elephants, other bulls, and they just massed. And we took lots of pictures, but this particular picture, and we've called it Gathering of the Giants, was a shot that Angie and I just love, because there's, as I say, there's this lovely resonance between the outstretched trunks, between the energy, the dynamism of the elephants and the shapes of the trees under which they are standing and where they had been drinking. Now, the other picture is called Patterns of Growth. And it's a very sort of abstract image. It's actually of a tree in Ranthambore in India, one of our favorite places to go and look for tigers. And it's also a wonderful place, palaces and lakes, ancient, palaces from the old days, where you sometimes see tigers actually up in these old palaces, staring out of the windows over the lakes. It's a beautiful park, Ranthambore. It's one of our favorites. It's a wonderful place for birding. But you are often just moving, looking, hoping to see tigers, and at the same time just enjoying the ambience of the park. And there's so much to feast your eyes on. And it's very important not to just get caught up in the primary focus, which is searching for tigers. Yes, you're listening to the sounds of the calls from the forest, the peacocks, the sambar, the cheetah, the spotted deer, listening to see if they perhaps are going to point you to where there is a tiger. But in the interim, there's these glorious patterns made by the trees, made by reflections in the water. And what I love, again, a picture of Angie's about this, is it's sort of, you could visualize it. And after all, that's the beauty of photographer, is that when somebody publishes an image, you can then, as an individual, not the photographer, but somebody else can look at it and create their own story. Doesn't matter what we were thinking about at the time particularly. What does that picture mean to you? What does it say to your senses? And what we felt with this picture was it was beautifully calming. It represented the sort of, the growth, almost like a network of blood vessels when you look at the branches of this tree. And at first you're looking and you're thinking, what is it that I'm really seeing here? And so there's this sense of energy. There's this sense of spreading out. And there's, again, rather like with Gathering of the Giants and the trunks and the trees and the resonance between the shapes, you can, with this image, you can play with it in your mind. You can let your mind wander down the different branches as if you're going off on a different pathway through a maze of branches. So it represents this incredible sense of abstract, of patterns, and of possibility. And to us it represents, as I say, the tree of life, the web of life, the interconnected of everything. And it's so easy, isn't it, to forget that trees are alive, that this glorious garden that we have here, all these beautiful plantures, the ferns, the flowering plants, that over 80% of biomass, of living matter on Earth, is plant matter. And we're about 0.01%. So, and yet look at the impact we have. So that idea of the interconnectedness of everything in nature, of all of life, is what we see reflected. It's just one of those thoughts that we see reflected in Patterns of Growth. Gathering of the Giants, a tremendous epic moment and event, but again with this wonderful sense of shape and harmony. So 2 pictures in the Thuramina Fine Art Gallery. These are open-ended prints, so they're open edition prints, and they're there for you to perhaps choose and put on your wall. So from us, on a beautiful Sunday afternoon in Nairobi, stay safe, think carefully about your next move, wherever it might be, and we hope that at some point you will have one of our pictures on your wall to remind you of the wonder of nature. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.